Hey guys, welcome to the 18th episode of Mindshift. As some of you know, the main purpose of Mindshift is to help you see the world, yourself, and other people a little bit differently so that you get out of your box and start living your creative potential. Today's Mindshifter will help us to see our personal finances a little bit differently. She's going to talk about something she calls finset. I'm so delighted to welcome Eli Zheleva in our show. Welcome, Eli.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity to be here and to join the number of other mind shifters that you've already interviewed because obviously I follow you as well and I gained great perspective about different areas of my life and so thank you for that. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to give back. So basically, as you mentioned, I'm Eli Zheleva. We are both from the same hometown in Bulgaria, and I've been living in the UK for the last 10 years. And my finance changing journey started back in Bulgaria, actually, with a little bit of a mindset shift, because there I was lucky to meet someone who is very dear to my heart, who had the right understanding and who knew that money is abundant. Money is something that you can attract. You don't need to have money to make money. And he started my journey about myth busting different things. And since then, I have come to the UK. I've started my own business, which obviously means that now I have my own income. And then I kind of changed things in such a way that I had someone working for me. So I have that income stream whilst I was working for someone else. So I had a second income stream. And I've always been an entrepreneur, and I've always picked up different jobs here and there, pretty much not saying no. And to be honest, that's one of the ways how I have all those different skills, because I've tried so many things over the years. And I think that one of the differences that changed me completely is a simple spreadsheet, because this is where it all started. Because one of the things to keep in mind is that it doesn't matter as much how much you make, it's how much you keep that matters. Because if your lifestyle, because usually what sometimes happens is that when people make, let's say, £1,000 and they live certain standards, and as soon as they find themselves with more money, they increase that standards, which from one point of view, not a problem whatsoever, as long as you keep certain principles. And actually, that's one of the reasons why many people who become millionaires because of lottery and so on, often end up being broke, because they don't have the mindset and they don't have the structure in place. And as I said, I'm happy that I gone through the journey that I have been, and I've read the books that I have been, one of them being Rich Dad Poor Dad. Actually, that was the first proper financial book. I watched this documentary in my, I was going to say early years of financial development, that was talking about the different references about how the language determines the money. So basically, they were talking about the fact that because in the old days, in the Egyptian days, the trade exchanges were happening in next to the rivers, because obviously that's where product could travel. And there, that's why you have the river bank, right? That's where things happen, and that's why now we keep our money in the bank. And then we have the trades flowing, so that's why we have cash flow. So, and yeah, money is supposed to flow, because the more that you keep money, the more you're helping the economy to shrink. So money should flow, but as I said, it should flow in a way that is productive for you and does not stress you out. And yeah, since then, since I read this book, I actually applied in my own personal life, and I bought a property with pretty much no money, as I only had £2,000 in the bank.
Share this story with us.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about the story because I was really inspired by you when I heard the story. Can you just give us a detail? What happened there? How did you do that? Yeah.
Basically, I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the author, Robert Kiyosaki, was talking about how people buy properties with credit cards. And just they were saying, okay, you take a loan for, well, you actually take a credit card, let's say £10,000, and you put that money as a deposit, and then you just pay the monthly expenses. And then in a couple of years' time, you remortgage, which is a term you use here in the UK, which means that you reevaluate the property and you take some of the equity, and then you basically give the money back, and then you have the property. And yeah,
Wow.
that's kind of it. And what usually happens here, especially in the UK, as I said, is that many people don't have the money to put for deposit. And that's why it's very hard to get on the property ladder. Otherwise, obviously, we're living somewhere, so we're paying rent. And actually, very often, the rent that we're paying is a lot more than what the mortgage would be. So when I had my first property, because at the moment I'm in my second one, I had my first property when I was 24, and no, 26 in 2014. And it was exactly because I first did it on paper. So basically, I went on this holiday, and one day I decided that, well, and that was the first time ever that I put goals on paper, because I've always been driven. I always wanted to achieve things, but that was the first time I put goals on paper. And I wanted the short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. And one of the medium-term goals, which was supposed to be in the next year to a couple of years, was exactly to have a property. And I have marketing background, and with marketing, when you set goals, you aim to have them as SMART goals. So to be specific, measurable, attainable, timely, and realistic. So I thought that, okay, specific. So I wanted, I knew that at that time I was living in a rented flat that was 1 bedroom, 1 reception, and I was paid £500 a month. And I knew that I want to have another room, which means that it will be 2 bedrooms, 1 reception, and so it will be 2 bedrooms, 1 reception. And I was happy to pay 500 or even 600, because luckily I could afford even the 600. But as I said, didn't have the deposit. So, however, at that time, I didn't worry about the how. I was just very clear about what I wanted, and I wanted to be in a livable condition. Obviously, yeah, some touches up and so on would be needed as it is, but I wanted it to be in a condition where there is running water, there is electricity, so I can move in and I can do things as I go along, because when I didn't have the money, right? And then I realized that, okay, I could start writing down on paper what's needed for me to make this happen. And then what was needed was to find the money. That's one of the things. And then I realized that I needed the money for the deposit. I needed the money for solicitors. I needed the money for all those different professionals that are involved in the process. And I thought that, okay, check my bank account. I only had £2,000. So I thought, okay, those will be for the professionals. Now I need, and when I was setting the goal, I knew that I wanted the property to be up to 100K. So because online there are quite a lot of mortgage calculators, and obviously all of them are subject to availability, subject to T's and C's. So the figures that you see there are not directly the figures that you're going to get, because it's all kind of subject to something. However, I had a good indication of what may happen. So what I did is that I figured out that if the property is 100K, I would need 10% deposit, so that I need 10K. And then the monthly repayment would be around £500, which obviously was within my budget. I thought that's okay. So what ended up happening is that I took a loan for £10,000, and I knew for a fact that again, as in at that point, I was already strict with money. I knew that I wouldn't forget 2 months later, say, "Oh, I have money. Let's go on holiday." So I knew. Well, you'd be surprised. And actually, it's quite interesting that I mentioned this, because one of the reasons initially, when I was getting my first credit card, well, actually, I only have one, but anyway, when I was getting it for the first time, I was a little bit hesitant because I've heard all those stories about people being in debt for with the credit cards and so on, and I panicked and I didn't want to do that. And then I realized that first, it's up to me how I'm going to spend the money. So I have the opportunity to do something with it. And oh yeah, by the way, the £2,000 that I said that I had, I didn't really have it. They were just on the credit card. So is it in my actual account? I had a couple of £100, but oh well. So again, this is another good realization, and this is one of the things that Rich Dad Poor Dad teaches you, is that there is good debt and there is bad debt. So if you're £20,000 in debt because you bought yourself a new car, well, that's a liability. So it could break down and all that stuff, but because it depreciates in value over time. But if it's for something that is likely to get higher in value over time, then that's an investment. And even though that Robert Kiyosaki himself says that when you have a personal home, that's still a liability, but that's a bit of an extreme. So let's get on the property ladder, and then I'll just take it from there. So yeah, I had the loan, and then with that loan, I did everything on paper first, and because there are certain stages that before those stages you could change your mind, you could have different circumstances and so on, and you're not liable for anything, which means that I knew that the loan that I got was for 5 years for £10,000, and I would repay £130 every single month for that. And I knew that a couple of months I would just take the hit because, as I said, I calculated on paper that I could afford this. And actually, I say paper, that's the spreadsheet that I referred to a little bit earlier. I'll get back to this in a second. And then I was looking at the mortgage calculators, and I was thinking, well, if I get a mortgage for £90,000, because obviously you see I have £10,000 deposit, then the repayment will be £450. And I thought, well, that altogether to pay for the mortgage plus to repay the loan is going to be £580. But that's for something that I own. I was like, yeah, okay.
Wow.
So that's how it happened. And as I said, because when the mortgage, so I found the property, which actually ended up being £91,000. So I've had £1,000 to spare, right? Happy days. And why not? And so I had this thing where I, as I said, because there's certain points where you can change your mind. So I was looking at what the mortgage company will offer me, and when they said there's going to be £430 even, but at that stage, if I was to say yay, that's exactly the money. That there's no subject to whatever afterwards, which means that I knew for a fact that I could afford it. So happy days, and yeah, I just proceeded. And in 2 years' time, actually, in 2 years' time, I decided to sell it because I wanted yet another bedroom. So I'm now in this house that I'm at the moment, actually. And it's 2 bedrooms, 2 receptions with a garden, again, 10 minutes walk from the seafront. And so I sold the masonette, because that was a masonette, the first property I bought. I sold it. I paid off the loan that I had then. I paid off, obviously, the mortgage. I took some of the money out for deposit for this one, and I was even left with money. So I thought, okay, happy days, which means that in 2 years' time, and at the moment, this property, if I was to rent it out, I would be able to make £400 a month, because obviously that would be the clear cash revenue thing. So so now I've been thinking, funny enough, yesterday a friend of mine was asking me, so I'm still thinking of having a second property, because I want to have kind of a portfolio of multiple properties at the same time. And I said, yeah. And so I'm looking, I'm just figuring out what the best way would be. But yeah. When I was doing the swap from the masonette to this property, I had £500 in my accounts, and that was it. But again, because I knew that the money was coming from the previous one, and so basically I made it work. And again, I did. It's very interesting how things happen, and how you suddenly, I mean, when you focus on something and then your energy goes there, and then suddenly everything around you supports that. So when I was first starting to look at the property, a friend of a friend messaged me and said, "Hey, do you know what? There is this property seminar that I have +1 anyway. Would you like to join me?" I was like, yeah. So now, on the back of this seminar, I know about property flips, I know about depressed properties, I know about auctions, I know about what to do. Like on property auctions, for example, they say that always stand at the back and observe, because very often the person who is taking the auction is obviously most of the people standing at the front because they want to hear, they want to be there and all that stuff. And the person who is taking the auction says, okay, 110 over there in the corner, and there's no one in the corner. But because if you're at the front, you don't know who's in the corner, so you just, oh no, I want this property, and then they just artificially raise the money. So little tricks like this I learned. I was like, funny that, yeah.
Wow, Eli. So it was really lovely to hear the story, because the story is showing me, at least when I hear it, it just shows me how you changed your way of relating to money, and especially when it comes to property and stuff, and real estate, I guess, is the good expression there. So it's like my curiosity here, and I'm sure that the people who are listening also are curious about it. What changed in your mind? What was the change, the shift in your mind, which allowed you to make these moves?
Well, as I said, I read those books, and I started to think, maybe I could try. And what was good for me at that point is, as I said, I did everything on paper first, which meant that there was no risk. And it was, once I had all the information, I could then proceed. Whereas what sometimes happens with many people, and I learned to dissect things and to make them smaller. So many people look at the property purchase to say, "Ooh, I mean, that probably requires this and this and this," and no, it's too complicated. And actually, they don't look at the specifics. And if you look at it, it's not rocket science. It's not that hard. What is hard is to sit down, to pin yourself down, to work out the numbers. And it's okay if you don't have the money at the moment, if you're not there yet. But if you've taken the time to realize what it is you need, then you know that that's what you need to get, and that's what you're aiming for in terms of your income to be able to afford these things. So that's what I did. I think, as I said, I had this safety blanket with the sheet, with that Google spreadsheet actually that I keep referring to. So this is basically where I have my financial plan. So since 2013, I've had financial plan, and that sounds like posh and complicated, but again, see, it's what we make it sound. And basically, it's 2 columns. Well, 4 columns. One of it is an item, afterwards price, and then item and price, and pretty much is expenses and income. It's just as simple as that. But every month I know that I would be spending on average £50 for parking, because you pay to park here everywhere. I'll be spending around £200 for food. I'll be spending £100 for clothes and so on. So again, it's not a case of not allowing yourself to have the time out, the gatherings, the holidays, and so on. It's just being realistic about what it is you can afford now. So pretty much at any given point, I could tell you, if you tell me, oh, do you have £200 to lend me, or oh, do you want to go to this concert, £200, I'll be able to tell you straight away, yay or nay, because I would know what's in my budget for that month for that thing, or what money I have left, and whether taking away this money will then jeopardize something else. So yeah, and it's just very simple. As I said, I have the things listed. So I think that as soon as you start putting things on paper, as soon as you start seeing them, that makes things a lot more easy and a lot more manageable, and it helps you to move forward. Because if everything is in your head, everything looks bigger, scarier, impossible. And if you have the numbers, is in the specific numbers, because even if you need £3,012 a month, it sounds like a lot of money, and it is, don't get me wrong. But if you know that that's what it is, you start looking for that money, and your focus then actually on a subconscious level changes to attract that money. Because come on, whenever people say, oh yeah, I don't have money. Well, see, if someone says to you, if you don't give me £10,000 by the end of the month, one of your family members gonna die. Or you're gonna ask 10,000 people for £1. You're going to sell all your clothes. You're going to wash cars. You're going to make it happen. But at the moment, for whatever reason, you don't have a strong enough why, which again is okay. And so I suppose that as a quick thing, what you can do is to start with this spreadsheet and to just work it from there. Because it's a little bit like when people say, oh, I don't have time. So do you know where your time goes then? Yeah, I know. And then suddenly you actually take the time to write things down over a week to analyze and say, oh, that happened to me. It's a true story. I was thinking, wow, I spent 2 hours a day commuting, traveling to and from a place of work. And that's time I didn't account for. I'm thinking, well, no wonder I don't have time, because when I schedule my day, I actually don't think of this thing, which means that suddenly I need to find 2 days more in the day. And I'm thinking, well, how am I supposed to do that? And now obviously I've made this so that I listen to audiobooks. So instead of having to allocate the time and find the time for personal development when I go home, I actually do that on the way. So I'm combining things, and there are ways to do that with money. And again, first you need the awareness. You need to have everything in front of you, and then you can make decisions. Okay, this, even if it's this toilet paper that you buy for £3, well, get the other one that is £2.80. In England, there is this saying that look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves. And many people say that. Many people say that. I mean, that's only £2. It's okay. That's okay. Then I'm going to buy this. I say, yeah, but £2 here, £2 there, and especially if you don't know where your money goes the whole time, it adds up. And then suddenly, oh, you're £20 short at the end of the month. Well, if you didn't do this £2 here, £2 there, maybe you would have been left with £20 in the month. So
that's absolutely true. Eli, do you know what I see right now? We started actually talking about exactly the finset. You're giving us several pillars of what actually is the finset this session is about. So just for the simplicity for the audience, can you outline 3, 5, 7 principles you can share with us, which are your finset is consisting of, and which helps you to manage your personal finances way better than before? Just if you can outline them to us.
As I said, number one, definitely write things down. Definitely. That's a must, because that gives you the awareness, that gives you the ability to track, and then you'll be able to make amendments from then onwards. And then the next one, read autobiographies. Because I read the autobiography of Richard Branson, and I'm reading autobiographies of many different successful people. And guess what? All of them have failed many times and have rebuilt their empire, and even stronger, because through the first failure, in a way, they have gained the mindset, they have gained the experience, which means that at the second time, they start from scratch, but it's a different scratch than the one before. So as I said, with those books, and I thought about, okay, that's an idea that I could apply for my life. And it's just because as soon as you have a wider understanding, and if you're looking at things through a wider lens, then you see the opportunities. Otherwise, you could very simply get bogged down with the fact that, well, that's not going to work for me, or no, I don't have the money, and that's it. The third one take the time to see what you tell yourself about money. I went to this seminar in Fiji a couple of years ago with Tony Robbins. It's called Wealth Mastery. And one of the things they said is exactly write down the things, the beliefs that you have around money at the moment. And I remember, it's at that very point, I remembered clearly telling myself, oh, I don't want to have a lot of money. Because unfortunately, when I was growing up, I was seeing that many people with money in Bulgaria, and obviously that's a generalization, but those I was seeing in my hometown were the people who are associated with things I don't want to be associated with, let's put it that way, as in like the gray business and all that stuff. And I thought, on a subconscious level even, that, well, money is not good and I don't want to be that rich. And then I thought, why not? Because at the Wealth Mastery, I was sitting next to millionaires. And you wouldn't know that they're millionaires because they're not one of those flashy ones. Oh, look at my golden chain. Look at my this. Look at my that. They have golden hearts. And I'm thinking, do you know what? If that's what it means to be a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire. That's it. It's just as simple as that. So write down the things that you associate with money at the moment. And yeah, I was saying that, oh, money change people. But actually, again, as Tony Robbins says, money just makes you more of what you are, which means that because I consider myself a good person and I'm a giver, and so the more money I have, the more I can share with others, and the more difference that I can make, and the more people I can help. So I'm after the money, I'm telling you. And now, yeah, those are the three main ones. I suppose that we could go and dilute those and to have them as a fourth one, keep a close eye on your finances. Because if you, again, one of the things that Tony Robbins does when he transforms a company, because obviously he's a business coach as well and all that stuff, when he transforms a company, do you think he just goes there, looks at the numbers, and then 3 months later looks at the quarter and say, yeah, actually it's good? No, he takes it and he looks at it every single day. Because obviously the more focus you have on it, the more understanding you'll be able to have about trends and patterns and things like that. So the more closely you manage it, the better you'll be able to manage it. And then, okay, the fifth one, I'll stop here.
You can keep going.
I use, I'm not going to advertise any apps, but I use an app that I have linked to my card, and then it automatically tells me, okay, you have 20% left of your eating out budget. I was like, oops. Again, you can automate that, so you don't have to do it on a spreadsheet like I have, because I still keep the spreadsheet and I have the app as well. But again, is in the app, as soon as I pay with my card, and it says, oh, this is clothes shopping. Oh, this is fuel. Oh, this is whatever. So it recognizes the vendor basically, and it allocates it to the different pots, and it says, okay, do this. And one of the beautiful things in that very app that I'm using is actually rounding things up to the nearest pound. Yeah, to the nearest pound, which means that if I go to the shop and I spend £3.73, it automatically in a way charges me £4, and it puts the remaining 27p in a different account. And it's exactly the thing that I say that is when you look after the pennies, the pounds look after themselves. Because for the last 2 years, I had £400 in this account. I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, otherwise this money would have been, as in, you would have slipped through the cracks, because you wouldn't have, like, that's just a handful of coins. So that's fine. But when you have a closer look, and it helps and just automates things for you and reminds you. And as I said, when you see it written down, then you can have this thing.
Wow. So that really makes sense. I'm impressed by this app. I'm going to ask you later about it, but I'm sure that people will be also interested, because it sounds really great to monitor your money in this way and to automate this system, so that you don't have to go there yourself all the time, but you have something which is doing it for you. It's definitely priceless. Now I want to ask you about a misconception, the biggest misconception you have heard about money and about finances?
That many people still believe that money is not enough. Is that is not enough in circulation. So one thing for us, again, in that very movie, that I still can't remember the name of it. I've been trying to think about it for a while now. The one where they're talking about the money banks and the money flow and how money is supposed to flow and so on. They were talking about the fact that in 1974, I think it was, Nixon, as in the President Nixon in the US, he stopped the golden standard, which meant that at that point, the money that was in circulation was not corresponding to the money they had in the treasury, which means that they print money, which means that we live in a time where there is a lot more money than has ever been in circulation. So the distribution is completely different because now obviously there is a lot of polarity, but there is inflation as well. So money is being printed. So for as long as you think that there is not enough money or you're cutting jobs and so on, that's just an excuse of poor management from the people managing that money. But at the moment, there's so many opportunities for people to make money. And one of the kind of funny things that I've noticed is that you could just make money out of thin air. So basically, let's say you ask me for £100, right? And you say to me, listen, I really need it. I mean, I'm sorry to ask, I really need it, but could you give me the £100? And in 2 weeks time, I'm going to give you 110. That's 10% interest rate for 2 weeks, brilliant interest rate. And you said, I really need it now because otherwise the mortgage, it's a serious reason. You definitely want the money. And again, instead of me saying, oh, sorry, I don't have the money, I'll say, hold on a second. I'll make a phone call to a friend and say, listen, I need £100. Could you give it to me for 2 weeks? And I'll give you £5 back. £5 on top, so I'll give you 105 back. And they're thinking, 5% is still very good for 2 weeks. I was like, okay. So I get the money from them, I give them to you. And then when you give me the £10, I give the 5 to the other person. And actually I have £5 from not even having had the money in the first place.
Wow.
Happy days, right? Isn't it? Again, it's how you think about it and how creative you could be with making money. And at the moment, many people pay for convenience, many people pay for consultancy, many people pay for knowledge. So don't think that you don't have anything to offer. Just think about what can you offer. And if you want to go to freelance websites to have a look at what people are paying money for, or whatever it might be. I remember Googling probably 10 years ago how to make money. And yeah, genuinely. And one of the things that came up was car branding. I'm thinking, I'm doing 120 miles a day because I was living in London at that point. I'm doing 120 miles a day every single day. So if someone wants to wrap my car with their branding and for me to drive around to be there on a live promotion and so on, to pay me £200 a month, it's happening. So yeah, there are so many ways. And it's just a case of looking for those and just a case of wanting the money and and knowing how much you want. Because again, as many people say, oh, I want to have more money. Okay, here's £5. Now you have more money. Now what? Well, no. Well, be specific then. What is more money for you? And again, more importantly, why do you want it? Because the why is going to suddenly give you the money that they want. And over the years, again, I started looking at the financial markets. So I've been doing stuff there. I've been doing what's called spread betting. And with spread betting, actually, you can have lower margins. You don't have to have as much cash as if you were to actually buy the stocks and shares from the different companies. And you can do in different places, and you can have a 3-minute bar and so on. So you can make money and lose money, right? You could do that within the space of 20 minutes, no problem whatsoever. But again, there you need a lot of discipline. And not being funny, but if you didn't have the discipline for a couple of months to do the spreadsheet or to implement those basic things, you're not ready for the big money. you're only going to go to the financial markets, you're going to get burnt and say, the things that she mentioned, rubbish, it doesn't work. And that's your ego, and that's okay. That's, but again, don't try to eat the big fish, because how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. So just eat all the pieces first, and then the biggest
Eli,
thing.
Just one thing which is interesting to clarify is you shared what is your spreadsheet, but can you again just share very briefly what is including in this spreadsheet? What are the columns?
Well, the columns, actually, I'll open it live for myself so I can tell you exactly the columns. There are definitely 4 columns. One of them has income and the other one has expenses. Hold on. And I've been tracking it for quite a long time. And there you go. I have, well, from the days when I was paying rent. In November 2013, the out were rent, the car payment, the insurance. So all of this is one single line. Insurance, fuel, food, telephone, presents, because it was November, so Christmas. Trip to Birmingham to see friends of mine. Belgian chocolate tart for my sister. See, I even accounted for that, which is brilliant. And electricity. And then in the other column, I had, as I said, values against each one of those. And then in the other column, I had the in. So, and I put in the bank at the moment, I have this. And then money that I'm expecting, I have this anticipated. And because at that point I was still working for this company, which meant that I was getting salary. So I knew what I was expecting at the end of the month. And then the next month in December, again, you have rent, car, insurance, fuel, food, phone, presents, electricity. So pretty much every single month is the same, plus minus some variations. But again, if I know that for my basic living is to be able to afford to live in the house, to have the bills and so on, and to have food, I would need X amount. I aim to minimum get this X amount. So as I said, it's very simple. And some people say, yeah, but when I was playing badminton, in this, I was even putting badminton, £15 a month. And see, many people would not even put that on the spreadsheet because it's only £15. But this is only £15, this is only £10. And suddenly it's a monthly outgoing, you know it's going to happen. And if you don't include it, you're thinking, oof, I'm £15 short because you didn't calculate it. And then you have to make amends to how you live in and thinking, oh, probably I'm not going to go to badminton because obviously there's no money. But if I knew from the beginning, I would have made sure that, okay, I would have something that it's, let's say, food-wise, or I would actually walk a lot more to work, so I'll need less money for fuel. So there are always ways to find money, because one of the things that Tony Robbins keeps saying as well is that if suddenly the government says, oh, taxes have increased by 20% more, what are you going to do? You're going to be upset about it, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be swearing perhaps and all that stuff, but you're still going to pay it. And you're still going to make your month work. You're going to make the necessary adjustments. But again, because it's imposed onto you, and that's why we need to be quite strict with ourselves and say, actually, 10% of your money, as soon as you get any kind of money, you put away. And that's like for an account that you will not touch until it's an investment for something else. Yeah. Not a pleasurable investment like, oh, I'll go on holiday and I'll recharge, so it's an investment in me. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to be an investment that is definitely going to make you money in the long run.
Multiply them.
Exactly. So
yeah, one question, not one question, but I was about to ask you the people can start with, but I guess you answered this question. I guess this spreadsheet is the first step you suggest to people to start doing in their towards their personal finances. because you talk a lot about it and you gave a great description now of it. So everyone who is listening can just start doing it for themselves very shortly, immediately after they hear it. So that's really perfect. Before I ask you the last two questions, I would like to ask you, do you have a mentor, you say a person who you're following? I guess it might be Kiyosaki, but is it Kiyosaki or someone else? Or the second part of this question is, can you suggest 2-3 books? You already said them, some books during the conversation, but if you can say people who are starting out this journey now and they can read these 2-3 books for getting more clear clarity, which will be these 3 books? So mentor and 2-3 books, that's the question.
Yeah. So in terms of mentor, I'd probably say multiple people, and one of them is definitely Sandy Jadeja. He's the guy that I do financial trading with, because I love his mindset. Obviously, the things that he teaches work, and he's a lovely guy, lovely guy. Obviously, I have. I'm also a student of J.T. Fox. Probably quite a lot of people will be rambling about that, but he's kind of self-proclaimed, I think, #1 wealth coach in the world, and he's a billionaire and all that stuff. And I've been quite a few events with him, and so I'll be honest with you, I don't agree with everything that he does. It's just I like his confidence, and I think that it shows. And so he has taught me a lot about how to position myself in business. So definitely. And as you said, the Robert Kiyosaki, because I read his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then there was another one for the guide to investing and the property stuff. So a lot more. And so yeah, there's no one person necessarily. Obviously, going to the second part of the question, so the other mentors and people that I've learned from definitely are the authors of the books Think and Grow Rich, so that's Napoleon Hill, and The Richest Man in Babylon. Who wrote that one?
Actually, I read it. I also can't remember who wrote it, but the book is really great.
It's brilliant, absolutely. Yeah.
And these are the 2 books you would suggest to people?
Definitely, yes, because one of them, it talks about how to have the different buckets, which, as I said, so you have 100% of your money, even if the 100% is £100, or even if it's £100,000. So you have 10% for investment. You just put it away, you forget about it straight away. And some people say, yeah, but I don't have the money because then I'm not going to have enough and all that stuff. So I can't afford to, or there's no point in putting £10 away if it's only £100. And that mindset is where people could shoot themselves in the foot. So just start small and it multiplies, don't worry. And then the other thing that he was talking is that 20% of your monthly income should go for entertainment and for you. Because again, he recognizes the fact that it's important to have the joys in life, because why do you need that money? Not just to buy the next thing, but to be able to enjoy life and to experience it. And yeah, things cost money, like skydiving, whatever costs money. Chocolate making class, it costs money. So if those are the things you want to experience, you need the money. And yeah, if you want something bigger, then basically you would know that with my current money, I would be able to go, I need, let's say, £200 to be able to go a week away somewhere. So you'll be getting this money over the course of a couple of months, which again brings us a little bit to the patience thing. So because we're so used to have the instant gratification and we're so used to having things now, I think that it's important to make sure that we are patient with money.
Yes,
because,
lovely.
Yeah.
You're lovely. So can you, before we go, I mean, these books I have read, actually, both of them, and I definitely suggest to people to do them. And they have their magic themselves. One is its magic, the other one is the other little bit of type of magic, but definitely both of them are great. Before I ask about where people can find you, tell me, there are these two questions I always ask my guests at the end. And the questions are, you can go whatever you want, the way you want to answer them. What are you willing to receive abundantly from the world? And what are you willing to give abundantly to the world?
I'm willing to receive peace.
Yep.
Because that's what I'm seeking at the moment. That's what I'm working towards. And I'm willing to give love.
Lovely. So thank you. Before we go, I just want to thank you, Eli, for your great explanation of everything you said about money and personal finances. There were so many. I'm gonna personally listen to that again because I want to hear everything you said there, because I guess that's a little bit of magic, not a little bit, a lot of magic towards personal finances. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being open, and thank you for being yourself in front of my audience. So what would like to ask you before we go is, where can people find you? How they can connect with you, write you directly, and create connection with you?
The places people could find me the easiest, LinkedIn and Instagram. And you just need to search for Eli Zheleva. And luckily I have somewhat unique name when it's written in Latin letters. So in the English world, my name is unique. So it works favors for me,
Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm gonna make sure that they're gonna have the links towards this profiles, and they can write you there. I guess they can just directly connect to you.
By all means, I'll be happy to answer any questions people may have.
Perfect. Thank you again, Eli. That's just the beginning. We're gonna have way more talks. I'm sure we are gonna do a lot of things together, so people can hear more of your magic towards finance and the other part of your magic, which is branding and coaching. So you have so many great things in yourself. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
So guys, we had the amazing Eli Zheleva here, and she talked about finances, personal finances, and the finset. There were so many golden nuggets in this talk. Personally, for me, I got several interesting points, which I would definitely use in my life. I'm gonna send you, after this video, you're gonna have the books, the different authors she talk about, where you can connect with her and everything. So don't worry about it. I hope that you had a great time with me, and especially with Eli Zheleva, and talk to you next time. Bye bye.